Go. What kind of popsicle are you licking there?
Mm, Great.
Grape. I was
One
about to say, it
second. I'm
looks
trying
like
to
a
get.
cherry.
I'm trying to get this set up here correctly. Let me see
All right.
what I
Well,
can do
while
here.
you're doing that, let's go ahead and say welcome back to the show. Been long overdue. I know the draft was about 2 weeks ago.
Damn, has it been that long?
It's been 2 weeks, dude.
Sheesh.
I know. Doesn't feel like
Crazy.
it. I appreciate all that tuned in, all like the 10 people that tuned into the live show.
You did the live.
I did do the live show, not by myself. My friend Steven joined me.
That's sweet though.
But yeah, I honestly thought it was better than the first time we did it when it was just me and you, because the first time we did it, you were exhausted. Because
I remember.
It was like 11 p.m. You know, that's bedtime for you with your schedule, and you hung through it like a champ. But this time around, I thought it went much smoother. It was more entertaining. Steven, my buddy Steven, did it. Didn't have to do it. He chose to do it anyway. But he was a great color commentator, so it was fun to do.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that.
Would have been fun to have you there.
My apologies.
I think I talked about you when the Eagles picked.
That was an interesting draft,
dude.
Let me tell you,
we both had interesting drafts. Well, let's go ahead and start that off with our teams.
Yep.
I feel like I should go first. I usually make you go first.
It's pretty ironic that our two teams were like the talk of the draft. Honestly,
I honestly feel like, James, I should probably go first and get my thoughts out there.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and give a recap of what happened that Thursday night. So I'm sitting here. I'm somewhat working. I'm paying attention to the draft. I'm doing this show. I'm talking to my friend. I got a million things going on. Then, pick 26 comes up. And someone, I forget who, it might have been my friend Steven, saying Green Bay's traded up. And I thought, maybe that's for a wide receiver. Maybe that's for one of the linebackers or an offensive tackle. But in the back of my mind, I kind of knew. And even Steven said, is it possible they take Jordan Love here? And once he said that, I was like, that's what it's going to be. Yep, that's exactly what it's going to be. And sure enough, it came through. And you can watch me put my head in my hands because I thought the world was ending for about 30 seconds. And then it hit me. I'm like, okay, well, what did we give up? And then it was revealed it was just a 4th-round pick, and I thought, oh, this is fine. I'm totally fine with this.
Not too bad, yeah.
So I'll go ahead and get this out there. I don't hate the Jordan Love pick at all. I actually like it. If you watch his tape, dude's got a ton of upside. His numbers weren't great last year at Utah State, and that still concerns me. But when you break it down, he lost his coaching staff from the previous year. He lost 9 starters from the previous year. So he was just doing too much. I think that definitely was a factor. He's still raw. He's got about 2 to 3 more years. And, I don't hate it. If this is the guy they think is the guy, I'm all for it. Set it up another 15 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he ends up being the guy, then it's not a bad pick. If he doesn't, it's a horrible pick. That's just how it's
even then, I'm not sure you can call it a necessarily horrible pick because of what they gave up. If they had traded up for 30, you'd say, or given up a lot to trade up to get him, I'd say, yeah, it would be horrible. But even then, I'm not sure you can really say it'd be quote-unquote horrible. Would it be a bad pick? Absolutely, but...
True. That's true.
I don't know. I like the guy. I'm cheering for him. Once I found out some stuff about him, comes from a family who his parents were both law enforcement officers. I like a guy like that. So
he's a good, yes. I mean, I was going to say, I heard very good character things. He's going to get the SIP. I honestly think he has a fairly similar sort of playing style to Aaron Rodgers in a lot of ways. I obviously don't think he has Aaron Rodgers' arm talent, but just sort of the I don't know. They're very twitchy in the pocket. I like the way they play.
He has a big arm, and Rodgers did too. Rodgers has that touch, though, and accuracy. I don't think anyone's ever going to come close to it. But he had flashes where I'm like, oh my god, that could be 12.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And like you said, LaFleur thinks it's his guy, and if LaFleur thinks it's his guy, then I mean, what are you going to do?
And I've seen everyone torch it, and this is a scenario I saw Dan Orlovsky say it like the day after. I think both sides are right. Should Green Bay have drafted, for now and try to win a Super Bowl soon? Absolutely. Do I think that they were wrong to plan for the future? Absolutely not. And I've seen people smear Green Bay, for taking a Rodgers successor. But at the same time, this is the same national media that has said Rodgers only has 2 to 3 more years left. Well, guess what? Jordan Love's going to have to sit out 2 to 3 more years. Rodgers is under contract for 4. And really, after about 2 years, that contract becomes flexible to where they can either cut him or trade him, and it's not a big cap hit for other teams.
Exactly.
So I don't think Jordan Love, you've said it before, I think you even tweeted it to me, that Jordan Love will be the starter in 2022.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't. Absolutely. That's just year 3.
Yeah.
I think it'll be more like 2023. Who knows? I mean, if Rodgers falls off a cliff,
I mean, yeah. I can see it. And I don't even think it's necessarily going to be that. I think they're just going to look at it like, listen, Rodgers might not be good enough to win us a Super Bowl anymore, even though he's still a very, very good quarterback, and we're going to save, $33 whatever million by paying Jordan Love, and maybe we can go get some. I mean, Green Bay, surprisingly for its location, is actually really good at getting free agents and stuff. So,
yeah, because they usually have a good quarterback.
Exactly, it's very true. I mean, it's just a blue blood franchise.
Who knows? We've been here before. The organization has done this twice now, not just with Rodgers, has done this twice, where the front office has said, I like this guy, I'm going to go get him. Ron Wolf did it with Brett Favre. He traded a first-round pick for Brett Favre, said, I like this guy, there's something to him, I'm going to go get him.
Yep.
Ted Thompson, granted, he didn't trade for Rodgers, he let him fall into his lap. Same deal. I like this guy, I'm going to go get him.
Yep.
Brian Gutekunst, Same thing. I have zero issue with it.
No, you can't have an issue with it. I mean, you got to go up and get your guy if you think it's your guy. I think LaFleur really didn't think it was going to be possible to get Jordan Love, even though I bet you if you would have seen what his board was, Jordan Love was pretty high on his board, and he didn't think he was going to be there at that spot.
Here's what I think. Here's how I think the board felt and why they traded up. I think they had, I can't think off the top of my head, maybe 4 or 5 guys that they liked at that point. One was Jalen Reagor. One was probably Justin Jefferson. One was probably Brandon Ayuk. One was probably Jordan Love.
Yep.
So Reagor gets taken at 20. Bit of a shock. We'll get to that in a bit. Justin Jefferson goes at 22. Not surprising. I'm surprised he fell that far. Then 49ers shock everyone, trade up to get Ayuk, who I thought was going to be there at 30 and was probably going to be the pick.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's 3 dudes off the board of your top 4 probably at that point. I think Gutekunst just said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go get one of the last guys we like. So.
Yep. I agree. I think that's what happened as well.
Yep.
So.
And, I don't think anyone was likely trading up either because everyone says, well, no one was going to take him from 26 to 30. That's not the point. You got to worry about teams like at 33, 34,
jumping
35.
up to trade up for him. I know.
Exactly.
I hate when people say that. I mean,
exactly. And I often forget that. And I said the same thing. Why are we trading up for this guy? But then, I got to think about it. Well, it's not necessarily those 4 teams there. It's 33, 34. Like the Colts, I've heard, were making phone calls.
I'm guaranteed the Colts were making phone calls. I mean, I'm honestly surprised the Colts. I thought the Colts were going to come back in and take them. I really did. Towards the end of the second round, because I'm sitting here thinking that's really all they're missing at this point is a quarterback, and I mean they can legitimately be a dark horse.
Well, they got their guy for right now, Phillip Rivers, but this could be another guy. Like another instance, you go straight from Rivers to Jordan Love potentially.
Absolutely, I agree.
So yeah, the rest of Green Bay's draft, I wasn't crazy about. The AJ Dillon pick, people have been bashing. My friends have been bashing me about that. It makes more sense than people realize because Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are free agents next year.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah,
so
who knows if they'll be back? I didn't like taking a running back in the second round. I would have been fine if it was day 3.
I thought he was a third.
No,
oh shit! Never mind. I don't like that pick then. I thought he was a third rounder.
So, yeah, I'm not crazy about taking a running back on day 2. I thought it would be day 3, but it makes more sense than people think. I really like AJ Dillon though. I think he's a perfect fit for Green Bay and LaFleur's offense. You're talking about as a guy who's 250, ran a 4.4. Only concern about him is mileage because obviously Boston College put a lot on his shoulders in college. But the rest of the Green Bay's draft was just trying to find guys to fit LaFleur's system. And I said to you, James, I like that. I don't necessarily like it because I thought we had other pressing needs. And I swear I'm going to let you talk.
No, you're fine.
But I lost my train of thought there. But they're at least showing that they're investing in their guy, their head coach.
They know what they want to do, which is a good thing, dude.
And that's the front office and the head coach being on the same page. It might not work out, but I respect it and I like it from that stance.
It makes sense, at least. That's all. Like, you know what I mean? So,
you go ahead and do your Eagles.
So I think it's funny as hell that like our two teams ended up being like the freaking like black sheep of the draft. I think that's like the funniest shit in the entire world. I'll sit here and tell you right now, I think outside of round 2, the Eagles had a fantastic draft. I think it was actually a very underrated draft.
I agree. Those first 2 picks were head scratchers, but the rest of the draft I thought was really well done.
I didn't mind Reagor, and I'll tell you why they picked Reagor. I know exactly.
No. Reagor was a fine pick. I just thought he was a reach at 20.
No, I agree. I agree, but I know exactly why they did it. So Jefferson was there. Jefferson's probably the better overall receiver, but Jefferson's like a possession volume in the middle of the field, work the middle of the field part. We don't need that. We have 2 starting tight ends on our team. We need an outside receiver, need a burner. So I'm cool with Jalen Reagor. I think he can be like a poor man's Tyreek Hill. Love that pick. Jalen Hurts, 2nd round. I don't hate getting Jalen Hurts, but I hate using a second because there was 4 or 5 players I would have took there at number 2, and it's just
Denzel Mims is still available. I thought that was going to be the pick.
Poor Carson Wentz.
You get your burner, and then you get a big body on the outside and Denzel Mims. I thought that's what it was going to be.
It's just like, why are you doing this to this poor young man? But like, I sat there and I couldn't convince myself to like the pick. You know how football goes. Usually, eventually, you can convince yourself.
Oh yeah, I've done that for sure, especially with this draft.
So I couldn't convince myself to like the pick, but after thinking about it, I got it. So I know what they're going to do. Carson Wentz has an opt-out after 2 years. They're going to give him 2 to 3 years. They're going to be like, dude, don't miss any extended time. Maybe give us a couple playoff wins in the next 2 to 3 years, and we'll keep you, and we'll keep going with you. But, dude, if you get hurt, get another major injury, we don't get any playoff wins the next 3 years, dude, they're going to trade you for a first with a year left on your contract, and we're going to roll with Jalen Hurts. And
exactly. I'm glad you brought that up.
Because I love Carson Wentz, you know that. But basically, what they're going to do, they're saying, Wentz, we're trying to give you everything we can. We believe in you. Try to get us some playoff wins, and we'll roll with you. But if not, they're basically going to trade either of them for a 2nd or 1st round pick in the future. And hopefully, if Jalen Hurts,
I'm glad you said that because they both, like you said, they're getting him help. They believe in him, but they can't ignore his injury concerns.
Exactly.
And at least if he gets hurt again, they have an option or
And
a
dude,
guy.
you want to know my theory? Because I actually have a hunch because it didn't make sense no matter how hard they try to twist it. Like Howie's explanation after the draft actually had like smoke coming out of my ears. I was so pissed, like just what he was saying. Fuck, I forget what I was going with that. What was I saying?
Something about in the moment. Smoke out your ears. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, that pissed me off. But I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. But anyway, so I love the rest of the draft. They got a great athlete in the 3rd round with the linebacker who doesn't have to play right away. Like all he has to do is learn how to play football. He's a physical freak. Got Wallace. I think it's going to be literally our starting safety by next year, all the way in the 4th round. Got some 4-3 receivers and Marquise Goodwin.
They needed speed. I mean, that's why I'm not shocked they took Reagor.
And they absolutely positively got speed, and I really did overall like the draft for the team. The Jalen Hurts pick is weird. I remember I have a theory, and I'm gonna sit here and tell you why I think they did ended up taking Jalen Hurts that high.
Please,
bro. I think there's a really strong possibility Carson Wentz pulls an Andrew Luck.
Maybe.
Because I'm sitting here going, dude, he's a country boy. He's got $100 million guaranteed. Like he's set for life. He doesn't need another dime. Dude, if he gets another really, really, really bad concussion, or he blows his knee out again, or he gets the nerve problems in his back again, dude, I think he's gonna hang it up.
I agree. Just had a kid. That's not a dumb.
He just had a kid. I think he's like, dude, if he's like 29 and he fucking blows his knee out again, dude, he's not gonna come back. He's done. I'm telling you right now. And I think they had that discussion with the organization. Like, here, I'm 100% here. I want to win a Super Bowl here, but listen, dude, like I'm not gonna, be in a wheelchair when I'm 40 years old to, keep playing. That's obviously complete speculation, but it was the only thing that made sense to me. Because Carson Wentz would be pissed at that otherwise, in my opinion.
I would agree. Well, and then here's the thing: is I remember him tweeting the night of, like tweeting to Jalen Hurts, like, "Let's get this."
So yeah, I mean,
and he's a great guy.
Say the right thing. I was going to say he's going to say the right things always. That's how he is.
One thing I will say back to my Packers, the one thing that has been hilarious to me, how's Aaron Rodgers going to take this? How's he going to take this? And then he posts a picture of him on Instagram in the mountains with his thick beard, just with a hang loose, and I'm like, that's perfect. Like, he doesn't care. I think it's completely overhyped.
And you know what's been getting me through this, Shane? And we can move on to the next thing.
Quarantine or the draft stuff?
The draft
okay.
is dude. I've seen plenty of Eagles draft class get A pluses, man, and be absolute dog shit. So these draft grades, all that, they still have to strap up and play football. If Jordan Love ends up being a long-term starter, it was an amazing A+ draft.
I've said that several times. If Love hits, it doesn't matter how the rest turns out.
So that's how I feel about the Eagles. It's like, dude, listen. Realistically, 70% of these players are going to be out of the league in like 5 years. So it's like, you never know. If Kevon Wallace and, Jalen Reagor end up being longtime good starters for us, there you go. That was a great draft. So they have to still strap up. Actually, I have one more thing that I want to say about the draft. The Cowboys, the darlings of the draft.
I'm going to get into them because I got some grades here.
The darlings of the draft. Listen, first of all, they did have a good draft. I'm not going to shit on them and act like they didn't. Extremely overrated draft, and I know you're going to know this because you actually know football. They had a sexy draft.
Yes.
They had a sexy draft.
That's a perfect way to describe
it. Dude, they didn't necessarily do that much to improve their team. They really didn't, dude. So listen, this offseason they lost their best defensive back, their only good defensive back, by the way. So now they have 4 shitty defensive backs. They have a linebacker who's one neck injury away from retiring. They lost their best interior defensive lineman and their most productive pass rusher last year.
Yeah.
They didn't replace any of those players. They got a rookie cornerback. That was all they got. Dude, CeeDee Lamb was the pick at 17. You couldn't pass up a player that good there. That did not
I disagree because of someone else that was on the board that I'll get into in a bit.
That did not help their team that much. Dude, they were already the number one passer. Yeah, dude, Dak threw for 5,000 yards last year. They were the number one offense in yards in the league. Like, they were already stacked at that position. So, like I said, they had to take that. But, like, CeeDee Lamb, them getting CeeDee Lamb made everyone think that they won the draft. And it's like, dude, that didn't improve their team as much as you think. Dak's not going to throw for 6,000 yards now. Yeah. Like, he hit the ceiling. You throw for 5,000 yards, that's as high as you're going. So, I'm telling you, they had an overrated draft and still got an A draft, if that makes sense. Like, people were saying they had the best draft, and I don't think we did.
No, they absolutely did not. I can think of – I have some of the grades here. But one more thing I wanted to touch up on.
I think the Vikings had a good draft.
Yeah, they did. They did. I have them here.
But they needed one, though. They needed
one more comment on Jalen Hurts. Worst case scenario. Like, let's say Wentz is healthy, They can trade Jalen Hurts for a pick.
Absolutely. I think they can at least recruit their second.
Hurts, or Wentz gets hurt, you put Hurts in there, see what he can do. He might be pretty good. Who knows? I'm not a big believer in him, but
I think Jalen Hurts is a better version of Dak Prescott. I think they're the same player, but Jalen Hurts is probably a little bit better.
I think that's a fair
They're
comp.
both
I think that's a fair comp.
All the intangibles are there. It's just they don't have pure arm talent. But Jalen Hurts is a better athlete, so I think he's just a better version of Dak, to be honest.
I think that's a fair comp. They're both kind of similar. Yep. All right, so other drafts we're talking about Dallas here. I have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams here that I gave A's to. I don't think I've ever given that many A's to a draft in my entire life.
It was a stacked draft. There were some good
Some of these are A minuses, but I still count those as A's. But before I get into that, I keep forgetting about this. I want to recap our mocks. So you did exceptionally well. I went through. You got 8 out of 32 picks correct.
Dude.
One of them, you even asked me if a team trades up, does it still count? And I said, why not? He's still going to the same team, just at a different spot. Yeah. So you got 8 out of 32. That's probably one of the highest I've ever seen, honestly. The highest I've ever seen, I believe, was Mike Mayock 2 years ago. He got, I think 12 out of 32
That's insane,
in the first round, yeah. Something like that. It was something stupid.
You want to know the pick I was most proud of, though?
I want to say Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah.
Exactly. I called that shit, dude.
I would. That pick happened, and I thought, James, you son of a bitch.
Because I know Andy Reid, dude. He needs that Brian Westbrook back. He does.
So you got 8 out of 32. I got 6 out of 32, which I believe
is still really fucking good.
It is still really good. Which I believe ties my best. I've been doing this shit for 5 years. I believe that ties my best. 2 years in a row, I got 6 out of 32. Then I did position for the team. So whatever position they took in the first round, we both got 17 out of 32.
That's
so
over half. Good, dude.
That's pretty good.
That's really good, dude.
Individual player. So what I did with there is just if that player made the first round. Yeah. You got 27 out of 32. That's pretty fucking good.
I snapped.
And I got 24 out of 30. I got 24 out of 32. I would imagine 24 is about average.
That's still insane, though, dude. Because once you get past like 20, dude, it's anyone's guess.
We both got the first 17 correct. If that makes sense. Not that we got them correct at those spots, but the top 17 we thought would go first round, and they did. And not in the top 17, but they went in the first round.
We did well, dude. That's awesome.
Then 18 was when it went for a loop. I picked an offensive lineman out of Houston. You picked DeAndre Swift, who fell in the second round.
Yeah.
So pretty good. I would say 24 is about right because, like I said, we got the first 17 right. So I'd imagine 24 is probably about average because once it gets 20, like you said, late first round, you don't know what the heck's
like 25, dude. Yeah. Those last like 7 players can be anybody, dude.
So anyway, I'm getting back to my grades here. Dallas, I gave an A- to because, don't get me wrong, CeeDee Lamb's a great player, and I'm so glad you brought up that it was a sexy draft because it reminded me so much of the 2016 draft when they took Ezekiel Elliott over Jalen Ramsey.
I was going to equate it to the Giants taking Saquon. It's like, yeah, dude, really, really good player. How much is that going to help your team, though? Are you really going to get more wins because you got another really good wide receiver? You already had that wasn't the problem.
I've told you so. My friend William's not gonna like this because he listens to our podcast and he's a big Giants fan. And he got on to me because we shit on him one of the last times we did it, and he got mad at me for it a little bit.
You can ask Artis. I said the Giants are going to be pretty good this year. I think they win 8 or 9 games.
I don't know about that. But I've been in an argument with him before because he thought Saquon Barkley was the right pick at 2. And I argued for Sam Darnold, and he makes fun of me for it. I said, well, who's won more games in the NFL? Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. With a shittier team.
I was about to say. Just the worst franchise in general. Yeah.
So, Dallas, I gave an A- to. They took CeeDee Lamb. Fine player. Great player. But he's going to be a number 2, number 3 receiver, probably.
He's going to be the slot receiver.
Probably.
I mean, come on.
But the reason why, honestly, I did not give them an A is because they passed on Caleb on Chason.
Yeah.
I think Caleb on Chason's a really good player. And they needed a pass rusher after losing Robert Quinn, and they didn't do it. And I think that very well could set them back.
Yep.
Because now, they're a playoff team. They got a playoff-winning coach.
Collins and Robert Quinn, and I'm sitting there like people would sit there and go, "Oh, Robert Quinn, not a big deal," and I would have done that too. But I think he had 12.
Yeah, he was better. He was a whole lot better than what I thought.
He had a better year than DeMarcus Lawrence. Put it that way. He's not better than him in general, but last year he was more productive than DeMarcus Lawrence by a lot.
So some of the other A- I handed out was Cincinnati. I can't remember why I didn't give them a higher grade necessarily, but when you get your franchise quarterback and a really good target in the second round for him in T. Higgins, you've nailed it. It's hard to screw up when you got the first pick.
Yeah.
Then Dallas. Miami, I think Miami would have been an A if not for the Noah Igbinoghene pick or whatever back into the first round. I didn't see him go in first round. Another A- was San Francisco, even though they only had about 5 picks. Their 2 biggest needs were defensive line and wide receiver. They got that in the first round. Yep. So some of the other A's that I handed out were the Jets, fixed their offensive line, and I forget what else they did, but I thought they did really well. Minnesota absolutely had a great draft. I thought Jacksonville had a pretty good draft. I thought Indianapolis, once again, Chris Ballard, that son of a bitch. Every fucking year, I'm like...
He's a good GM.
Like, it's not that he's lucky either. I'm like, how the hell does he get these guys on his board? And then he takes them, and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
He's the Billy Bean of football.
I don't know about Billy Bean, but it just works. You know, you don't really think about it. You're like, Michael Pittman. I'm like, son of a bitch, that's a good pick.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor. You're like, fuck, that makes so much sense. So, Chris Ballard, I seriously think he's the best GM in the league right now.
He's one of them. He's definitely top 5.
The other one, Denver, I think Drew Lock has to be the happiest dude in the league right now. Denver is not even. I don't even think a sneaky playoff team. I think they're a playoff team this year.
They got Melvin Gordon too. Don't forget.
Melvin Gordon, Glasnow from Detroit. They added somebody else too. Oh, Jarrell Casey, and then they got 2 really good pass catchers in the first 2 rounds. They got Drew Lock's former teammate at tight end. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. Albert O, whatever his name is. They did really well. They got an offensive lineman from LSU. Drew Lock got to be happy. Yeah. He's got to be happy.
They have a good roster. They did well.
I thought Cleveland did pretty well. They got their offensive tackle in Jedrick Wills. They got, was it Grant Delpit, I think, in the second round?
Yes. Yep.
Delpit, you're really banking on what he did in 2018 because 2019 he didn't do so hot, but I thought they did well.
He missed a lot of tackles.
Yep. But the team that I thought had the best draft was, and it's hard to screw up when you got 6 picks in like the top 100 picks, but Baltimore.
Yes.
They didn't need a whole lot, and yet so they had the freedom to take best dudes
luxury
available.
Picks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they had, like I said, they had 6 in the first 3 rounds. So Baltimore, I think Baltimore right now is my front runner to win the Super Bowl.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think if defenses don't catch up to Lamar, which I don't think they. I don't mean catch up in the sense of shut him down, because I think he's special enough to not be shut down. But I mean, is he gonna throw for 3,500, rush for 1,200 again? Probably not. So we'll see. But that's a stacked team. They're the ones who got DeAndre Swift actually. So got some fresh tread back there.
No. DeAndre Swift went to Detroit. Detroit.
What? Who?
Baltimore got J.K. Dobbins. Yeah.
Sorry.
But even then, I'm like, God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, good run.
Yes.
They just
I saw that and I was like, what? And then I thought about it and I'm like, Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson, and J.K. Dobbins in the same backfield.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yes.
But yeah, that's all I got for the draft. NFL schedule was released tonight. Have you had a chance to check out the Eagles?
I have. I got the Eagles at the first check at 10-6 right now.
I have Green Bay at 10-6, and the front half of Green Bay's schedule I think is brutal. But they open with Minnesota finally. They get them early. It's felt like 5 years since they opened at Minnesota. But I thought the back half is favorable. They finished with 4 of their last 6 in Lambeau, so
yeah,
can be done. But I do think my Packers are a prime team to regress.
Yeah, I mean, from 13-3, you don't really have much of a choice but to regress. But yeah, I still think the Packers are going to be a problem. I think.
So I want to throw this out there too, because I've seen I want to see what you think. I've seen so many people say after what Green Bay did in the draft that now the Vikings are the team to beat in the NFC North. And I want your thoughts before I go off.
I mean, I think the Vikings and Packers both made the playoffs. I think they're interchangeable.
I don't think the Vikings even... Dude, they lost 9 starters. Veteran starters.
I mean, yeah, they did lose a lot. I mean...
I know they had a good draft,
but like you said, so what do you? How many games do you think the Vikings win?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see their schedule. I'm gonna have to look at that.
So let's say the Vikings. I mean, I don't think they win any less than.
They won 10 games last year and lost 9 veteran starters.
Yeah, but didn't Dalvin Cook sit out half the year?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. I could be wrong.
Maybe not.
Maybe a few games, but. Right now, I think the Vikings are 8-8. I don't think the NFC North's that good in general right now.
I think the Bears are going to be better than you think too, because I think Nick Foles is going to win that job and be.
It depends. If Foles is anything like he was in Philadelphia, that's a playoff team, for sure.
I just think he'll be better with Nagy than he was with Marone.
Who knows? It's not impossible for sure. It's not impossible, but. I've seen so many people say that division's the Vikings now, and I'm just I would just want to throw something at somebody and say, based off what? Because Green Bay didn't have a great draft. They still got the better team. They got the better quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. You're not
like
wrong.
I saw Bleacher Report. That's what got me started. Came out with their win totals for every team, and they had Minnesota at 10-6. And I shrugged. I was like, well, not impossible. And then it said Green Bay was 9-7, which I wouldn't have an issue with, except you have Minnesota at 10-6. And I'm like, so you really think a team that loses Linval Joseph, Everson Griffin, I can name them off. Hang on. Linval Joseph,
Diggs.
Everson Griffin, Stephon Diggs, Mackenzie Alexander, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes. That's 6 starters right there. I've heard as many as 9. I can't think of that many. But that's 6 starters. 5 on defense. 5 was it? 5, yeah, 5 on defense.
Did you say Trey Waynes?
I did say Trey Waynes. So that's 6 starters. And they got Kirk Cousins. You're going to tell me Kirk Cousins is going to knock off Aaron Rodgers with all that roster turnover? Absolutely not.
Kirk Cousins won in the Superdome.
When?
I changed my mind. In the playoffs this past year.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did.
Dude, that was one of the most
all I'm saying is Minnesota signed him. Everyone thought this was a Super Bowl team. He hasn't even won his division either of his 2 years there.
Yeah,
he's 1-2-1 against Green Bay. Should be 1-3.
I think right now I would pick Green Bay, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it's going to take a lot.
Yeah,
they're going to be banking on a lot of rookies.
Yeah. So. But I do think they improved their O-line, and I think Dalvin Cook is just going to be like their Christian McCaffrey.
I don't think they even improved their O-line. Their O-line's not any good either.
Didn't they get an offensive lineman in the draft early?
Oh, yeah, they did. That dude out of Boise State, but who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say that tackle. Ezra Cleveland or some shit like that.
Who knows? That's something they've been trying to work on for a while, and I've said until they do, they're not a real contender. Real contender.
You're right.
So that's just my opinion. And I've seen you say the Eagles aren't winning your division, and I want to get that evil out of here. We're not taking Dallas to win that division.
This is the thing, though, dude. I think
we're an anti-Cowboys podcast.
Dude, I hate the Cowboys, but I'd rather be right than sound like a homer. You know what I mean? So if I thought the Eagles were going to win, believe me, I'd say it. I have no problem doing it. But I think the Cowboys are going to win 11 games, and I think the Eagles are going to win 10 games.
I will give you this: Dallas has been in like every other year kind of team.
Yeah. Yep.
Like 16, 18, and then they'd be, in a good spot to be that playoff team in 2020. So I see where you're going with that.
They were good enough to win more than 8 games last year. They were just very bad situationally. So I don't know, man. Maybe having a brand new coach and all that shit will just maybe take some growing pains, and they just end up going 8-8 again. I mean, that'd be beautiful. And I always say, dude, Tyron Smith or Zeke Elliott goes down, they're a 500 or below football team. Period.
No, I agree.
Two players.
And I do agree with you. I do think Mike McCarthy is going to go in there because that is the thing with Dallas is they should have been a playoff team the last however many years since they got Zeke Elliott and Dak Prescott in that draft. They should have been a playoff team every year, but they didn't have coaching. Mike McCarthy, I still think, is a good enough coach. Whether or not he can get his system to work, which has been outdated for a long time.
I was just going to say that. I mean, I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach, but I don't see
he's not a bad coach, but yeah.
You think McCarthy's going to elevate Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott? I don't. I don't think he's going to I don't think he's going to hurt him like maybe Jason Garrett did.
I tweeted this when they hired him, and you retweeted it and then gave a laugh my ass off or whatever. But someone said how Mike McCarthy is the perfect guy to take Dak Prescott to the next level. And I was like, dude, it's been 4 years. It is what it is at this point. No coach is going to fix him.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. It's just why, what do you think Mike McCarthy's gonna bring out? I mean, I don't understand.
It's different when you got Jared Goff, who struggled under, what's his name?
Fisher.
Jeff Fisher, thank you. And you hire Sean McVay in his second year, and he's a completely different player. That's different, but this is 4 years now. What you see is what you're going to get from Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's not going to take him to an elite level.
No. I think if anything, he'll play maybe a little more. He'll play maybe a little bit better, maybe not statistically, but just with the eye test with Kellen Moore in a second year as OC and stuff.
Is Kellen Moore even there?
Yeah, he's still their OC.
I thought they would have fired him.
Nope.
So, is he calling plays?
Yeah, I believe so.
By the way, you know that Kellen Moore and Cowboys recently signed Andy Dalton. They played against each other in the Fiesta Bowl in 2009.
I didn't think of that. TCU and Boise State, huh?
Yep. I didn't think about that. Someone posted it. But even then,
sick.
I think Kellen Moore's overrated.
No, I don't think he's that good either.
I don't either. Like, people keep saying how he's this massive.
I mean, last year, I remember, dude, it was so funny. Last year, dude, the Cowboys went 8-8 after starting 3-0, by the way, which is hard to do. So
all their 8 wins, I'm pretty sure, were against teams below 500.
Dude, they were terrible, and I just remember
except for maybe the Eagles.
They just absolutely trounced like 3 very bad teams in the beginning of the year, and that's why a lot of their stats were so high, dude. Dak had like 3 games over like 450 yards because he was just throwing the ball 50 times because they were down by 2 touchdowns. A couple games. I remember the Packers in particular. Packers blew them out, and Dak Prescott threw for like 500 yards trying to come back.
Yeah, he threw for like 500 yards and like 4 picks. So
yeah, and I was just like, dude, that's why he's going to have 4,800 yards this year. He ended up having 5,000 yards or 4,950 or whatever he had. But,
yeah, that whole thing I think is stupid. Oh, they believe in passing yards. I'm like.
I mean, dude, I'm not going to say yards don't matter at all, but they are a fluff stat, especially in today's game. I mean, dude, 5,000 yards Jameis Winston just threw for 5,000 yards.
If it weren't for Dallas, because I know they have a good run game, but any other quarterback, I'm like, so it just shows they don't have a run game. They're just relying on their quarterback, just slinging it.
Absolutely.
But we've done enough Dallas bashing. Do you feel comfortable doing power rankings? Or do you want me to list off
top
mine?
10. You want to do a top 10?
Yeah, that's what I have.
I can do a top 10.
Okay, you go ahead. Or do you want me to say my 10th team?
Yeah, do that.
Okay, so my 10th team, I said the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's back. They won 8 games last year, even though he missed 14.
Okay.
He's back. After they acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, they had one of the best defenses in the league. So I think that they are in a good spot with Roethlisberger back healthy to be a playoff team again.
Okay.
And they still got and I liked some of the guys they added in the offseason.
Okay.
But I think they're still a ways away from the Ravens.
Okay. It's actually funny because my number 10 team is also the Steelers.
Really?
Just great defense. I don't think Ben is going to have to do that much this year. I think he's going to have I think he's going to have an early Big Ben type of season, early career Big Ben type of season, trying to ease back in. But they're going to win 10 games just because, their defense is going to be top 5 this year. They have an elite D. So
yeah,
I'm going to go with them.
Elite defense, and I'm not sold on Cleveland or Cincinnati. I mean, I'm not sold on Baker, and you got a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
So number 9, even though I said we're an anti-Cowboys podcast, I do have the Cowboys here at 9. I do think Mike McCarthy is going to give them some energy. They do have enough talent to be a top 10 team. But the reason why they're not higher is because I like always with Dallas, I worry about their pass rush.
Yeah. That sounds about right. I had
you got to get after the quarterback. Like that's there are 5 elements. Like you got to have a good O-line,
and they don't have anyone that can cover either. So it's like
they're relying on rookies. Trayvon Diggs might end up being a great corner, but he's a rookie. You don't really know.
I mean, he was like the 5th cornerback taken in that draft. I mean, honestly, elite cornerbacks are terrible. I mean, D. Milliner, Morris Claiborne, like even these elite can't miss prospects end up being shitty all the time. I think.
By the way, that was another thing we talked about was how we both thought there was going to be more than 2 corners taken in that first round, and we both said, don't be surprised if teams reached. What do you know? 2 teams reached in the first round on corners. And the Falcons and the Raiders.
Definitely the Falcons. So I have the Eagles at number 9. I mean, quarterback, coach, O-line play. Yeah, QB coach, O-line play is really good. Finally have a corner that can cover, man, but they have their DNs aren't that good anymore. Brandon Graham is pretty good. Derek Barnett is average. 2 very good defensive tackles. Probably the worst linebacking core in the league. Very bad safeties right now. Bad number 2 cornerback. I mean, they have some holes, man. Like
I'll give you that.
They have listen. They're missing fluff positions, which I'm fine with. They're missing wide receiver, linebacker. those are positions that are nice to have, but they're not,
Dude, we just saw two teams in the Super Bowl this year who didn't have great linebackers.
That's what I was going to say. So, they're good at quarterback. They're good at O-line. They're good at coach. Like, these important positions, so I do still think they're going to be up there, but they don't have the roster that they used to have, man. That D-line's getting old. It doesn't have the speed it used to have. If Derek Barnett can have a breakout year, I think they'll be a little bit better, man. But I really like if they traded this year or next year's first for Yannick Ngakoue right now, I'd be happy because they would run away with that division, in my opinion.
That's a good point. I do agree that their D-line's getting old, but it's still a pretty good D-line.
No, it definitely is. It definitely
outside,
is.
I mean, if it weren't for Washington, I'd still say that's the best D-line in that division.
Yeah.
So number 8 is Tampa Bay Buccaneers for me. I think offensively, Tampa Bay is going to be near the top of the league. I mean, you add Tom Brady, he's got weapons. They added to that offensive line by getting Tristan Wirfs in the first round, who I think can play any position. They got a decent run game. I like the running back they took in the third round too, Kayvon something.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name. Out of Vanderbilt. But what worries me about Tampa is their defense. I don't think they got a good enough pass rush. Their secondary
they have good players, but
they got some good players, but yeah. And they do have Todd Bowles, who I do think is a good defensive coordinator. But probably my favorite pick in the entire draft was Antoine Winfield out of Minnesota to Tampa. I'm like, God, that's such a good pick.
Good pick. That's a good pick. I would be on the lookout for defensive rookie of the year for him because I think
I agree.
A few picks. I think he's gonna have a few picks.
Yep. But yeah, Tampa Bay, they still have some holes, but they'll be top of the league in offensive categories.
Yep. My number 8 is the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I don't think they're much better than Philly. I think Philly is better at some key positions, and I think Philly has a better coach. But overall, I do think Dallas does probably have a slightly better roster, and I think they actually have I think their strength of schedule from last year is slightly higher than the Eagles.
It'll be worse, you would think, because Dallas was, second? Philly was first?
But I think their schedule is pretty soft, so I just think they're going to win more games probably than the roster calls for, but I do think they have a pretty good roster in general, especially offensively, so I'll go with them at number 8.
Okay. So, number 7, and I've seen this team ranked ahead of Green Bay several times, and it makes me want to pull my hair out, is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Seattle is not that good outside of Russell Wilson. And if it weren't for Russell Wilson, this team would be a cellar dweller. There are 5 areas where I think you have to be pretty good to be a contender. You got to have a good quarterback. You got to have a good offensive line. You got to have a good pass rush. You got to have a good secondary. You got to have a good coach. Seattle has 2 of those. They have a good quarterback, and they got a good coach. They have a terrible offensive line. They don't have a pass rush unless they bring back Jadeveon Clowney, which isn't likely. And their secondary is not that good anymore. So
I agree.
That's 2 out of 5. A good quarterback's going to take you far. That's why I have them this high, because Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is probably the second best.
I have them at 11. I don't have them in my top 10.
I really don't think they're that good. I thought that was evident in the playoffs.
Their roster's not good, bro. It's not.
If it weren't for, and I said it before that game against Green Bay, if Russell Wilson goes off, they have a chance to win. If not, it's a blowout. And it was a blowout before Russell Wilson got hot.
I think you can make a legitimate argument that Russell Wilson is the best football player in the NFL.
I think
even better than Mahomes.
I think you could. I think he's the second best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, behind
Mahomes.
Mahomey.
Yeah, I love Mahomes.
No, I do too, dude. I love Mahomes because I appreciate good quarterback playing. He's just an awesome guy in general. He's a nice kid. This is number 8, right?
7. You had Steelers, Eagles, Cowboys.
Okay. I actually love this right there. It's the Bills. I have the Bills at 7.
Okay. I don't hate that. I think Buffalo has a very solid roster.
Stephon Diggs is going to have 10 touchdowns this year.
So I think that's
Josh Allen is going to throw that shit 90 yards into his hands.
Here's what I think about the Bills. And I think 7 is a bit high, but I don't hate it because they have a great coach and they have a pretty good offensive line. They got they have a really good defense. So And I'm a believer in Josh Allen. We're a pro Josh Allen podcast.
I love Josh Allen. I think he's a beast. But yeah, we're a pro Josh Allen podcast.
We're a pro Josh Allen podcast. I don't hate that. I think actually I had the Bills at 11, so just outside my top 10. It depends on Josh Allen though. I love the guy,
better than Seattle. Put it that way. I think they're better than Seattle. I don't think rosters are even close. Obviously, Russell Wilson shits on Josh Allen.
See, for me, Russell Wilson, I think just gives him that edge.
Yeah.
But I don't hate that. I don't hate that. But Buffalo with
they're going to
Brady
be a problem this year.
With Brady out of that division, I would not be shocked if they win like 11 or 12 games because that division's not very good.
Exactly.
All right, so number 6. You wanted me to put my Packers in my top 5, and I cannot do it because this team has regressed this offseason. They've lost one really good player in Brian Bulaga, who I think that's gonna hurt, and they lost Blake Martinez, who's okay, but he's been exposed in the NFC twice against San Francisco. They did replace them, I think, with solid veterans like Rick Wagner and Christian Kirksey, who could be good, but they've had injury problems. And then, they didn't really hit home runs in the draft like we talked about. They kind of just plugged guys who they thought were going to be good for LaFleur's system. Yeah. But of my 5 aspects, Green Bay's still in a good shape for all 5. They got a good quarterback, good O-line, good pass rush, good secondary, good coach. So I just can't put them in my top 5 because I thought they regressed this season or this offseason.
Well, they're in my top 5.
Oh, you bastard!
Because I got the Bucks at 6 and I got the Packers at 5.
Bucks are good there.
Bucks, I mean, dude, to be honest with you, I think there's a really strong chance that the Bucks end up winning like 5 games somehow. But then I also think there's a chance they win like 13 games. It's really gonna.
I don't see them winning or losing 11 games.
It's just, dude, I just mean like.
I don't think that division's that good.
I do think the division is that good. I think all
them and New Orleans are going to be playoff teams. I think Atlanta's window has closed and Carolina's rebuilding.
I don't know, man. I know. Listen, they are going to score some points, but dude, nobody loves Tom Brady more than me outside of Boston. But he's not that good of a player.
I'm not sure
man.
Boston loves him that much anymore. You might love him more than Boston.
He's going to put up. He's going to put up. His 28 TDs, probably 8 picks, shit. But like, he's just. I don't know, man. I got them there. I mean, I do think they're going to be a really good team because the roster is really good. And then I got the Packers at 5. I mean, listen, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play more hair on fire-ish this year because last year he had the most throwaways. Apparently, he was just playing a little more passively than he usually has in past years. Why that is, who really knows?
It's not even last year. It's been the last 2 years. He has more throwaways than anyone.
And I just think this year he's just going to be like, bro, like I really do. Like they just drafted my replacement. I really do only have a few years left. I better step it up. And I think he's going to try to win another Super Bowl.
I do think that's a very underrated aspect. Like
I think he's going to play with his hair on fire this year. That's the only reason I have him that high because I don't think their roster is necessarily better than a couple teams I had behind them. No. But I have him at 5.
I don't think that's a bad take at all. And I think that's been something that's often overlooked is Rodgers has been a guy who, unless he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder,
he needs that. He needs
a chip on his shoulder to be really, really good. That's what it was for him in his first few years he was a starter was, him with a chip on his shoulder trying to prove everyone wrong. And, he take him to the playoffs, wins a Super Bowl, wins MVP.
I think he might have gotten. I don't want to say he's gotten comfortable because
I don't think he's been complacent.
But I think this is going to help. I really do think this is going to light a fire under him a little bit, and I think maybe he'll take a few more chances. And it's like, listen, dude, if you got to throw 11 or 12 picks this year to throw some more touchdowns, do it. Like I know you're a single-digit interception guy, but. Dude, I'll take 4 or 5 picks.
Hey, I'm pretty sure the last time he threw double-digit picks, we won the Super Bowl. So
that's what I mean, dude. That's what I'm saying. And last time you guys had a good defense, I think your defense is going to be pretty good this year.
Who knows? I don't know. All right, so number 5, I have your Philadelphia Eagles.
The 4, everybody's 4 are the same.
At number 5, it'll be interchangeable, but number 5, I do have your Philadelphia Eagles. I'm still
I love that.
A believer in our boy Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson, great coach. They got a great O-line, great run game. They added some fast weapons this offseason for him. There are some question marks defensively, especially after losing Malcolm Jenkins, but I still firmly believe. I have never been more confident in Carson Wentz or Doug Peterson's ability since last year. Like, that stretch they went on to win that division. Adam Lefkoe said it best. Like, I've never been more convinced this is the duo to, get Philadelphia going.
Yeah, no,
especially you can doubt Carson Wentz because of his injuries. I think that's fair. But Doug Peterson, like, you cannot deny he's like a top 5, top 3 coach.
I would sit here and say, and I think I can say this pretty confidently, I think he's probably the most underrated coach in the entire NFL. I don't think he ever gets brought up as, like, in the top coaches thing, but, like, I don't think you can name 6 coaches better
Dude,
than
I can't
the NFL.
name...
I think he's top 6 or 7, easy.
I'm not sure you can name 4. I think he's
you
top 5. You got Belichick, you got Harbaugh.
Peyton and Reed.
Yeah, okay.
That would be it, though. I'd put him 5. I would
too. Like, I don't think Pete Carroll's a top 5 coach.
Shanahan. I'd put Shanahan right there.
Shanahan, when Shanahan can quit blowing double-digit leads in the Super Bowl, I'll put him in my top 5.
True. All right, but my point being, like, Doug Peterson is a very underrated coach, in my opinion. He's very close to being elite. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's very, very, very good, which is good for me.
So like we said, our top 4 is probably, I would imagine, probably the exact same and with the exact same teams. Number 4 for me is New Orleans Saints.
Same. And, listen, I can tell you what the Saints are going to do right now. Saints are going to start 9-1, finish 13-3, and probably lose first round because Drew Brees.
I'm telling you right now, I'm trying like crazy because I don't like. I've talked to you about this before. I don't like picking teams to go back to championships, let alone win back to back. So I'm trying to find a team to not pick instead of the 49ers to come out of the NFC for the Super Bowl this year. And like the front runner is the Saints, and I can't do it. Like the Saints are so caught up in perceptions.
His arm's gonna be shot, dude. His arm's
gonna
be shot again.
I'll get to that, but they're so caught up in perceptions. They're still caught up in the NFC champ. I just saw, I think Malcolm Thomas or somebody tweet the other day about the 2018 or 2019 NFC Championship game bad call against the Rams, and I'm like, y'all get out of that's why y'all are not getting far in the playoffs is because you're still stuck in that mode.
You're right though.
So until that changes, until the Saints shut up and play, I can't pick the Saints to go anywhere, which is a shame because I love Drew Brees. I
was gonna say same thing. I love Drew Brees. I think they have the roster to do it. Emmanuel Sanders.
And this is their pretty much their last chance.
No, and I don't think they're gonna do it. Drew Brees is gonna be shot by the end of the year. I do think they're really good. They might have a better roster than.
I think they have the best roster in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say they might have a better roster and a couple teams ahead of them, but I don't think they're going to have it at the end of the
year. I think they got a great coach, great roster, everything checks out. But honestly, the biggest question mark with me is, all the stuff off the field, they won't shut up. And also Drew Brees, that playoff game, he did not look good. This is now twice he has looked significantly worse in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Back-to-back games. I think his arm is shot at that point.
Yeah. No, I was going to say it is. It's just he can't play the full season. He can still hit throws, but he's not hitting a 45-yard dime.
No, I just don't. If you're going to tell me the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl, I'm just not going to believe it.
Me neither.
Drew Brees might be able to get them there. I don't think he can win 3 games in a row.
No, I don't either.
So number 3, I bet we have the same team, and I have the San Francisco.
I bet we don't.
Really? I say the San Francisco 49ers.
I got the Ravens 3.
Really? Okay.
I think the Niners. Like you said, they only had probably 2 holes, and they filled them with, very good players. I mean, Ayuk is, perfect for that system, or Ayuk is perfect for that system. They got Trent Williams.
Yeah, I forgot about that,
fucking left tackle.
Yeah.
The Niners are stacked. The Niners have the best roster in the league, in my opinion.
I don't think, not at quarterback.
Most well-rounded.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm talking about myself. Because I just said the Saints have the best, but I'm not sold on Drew Brees. So, I don't know. And honestly, I think Brees and Garoppolo are about the same at this point.
So, yeah, I have Ravens 3, Niners 2.
All right, so I have the 49ers at 3, like I said. And nothing against the Niners. I think what holds them back is they did add Trent Williams, which I think is, I saw that and I immediately just went, fuck.
For a 4th rounder.
And then they drafted our boy Colton McKivitz out of West Virginia, who I think could be pretty good. But I just saw that and like I rolled my eyes. I was like, fuck. I'm like, well, the gap just widened between Green Bay and San Francisco. Exactly. But it's still going to come down to Garoppolo, and I'm not sure I believe in Garoppolo.
I mean, that's exactly what I was just going to say. I mean, I think he's a good, not great player. I actually think he's very similar to like a Kirk Cousins in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's Kirk or, but Garoppolo just has it more than Kirk Cousins does. So number 2, this is where it gets a little different. You had the Niners. I have the Ravens. I think no one had a better offseason than the Ravens. You mentioned that the Niners added Trent Williams. Well, don't forget the Ravens added Calais Campbell.
True, you're right.
And had, I think, the best draft. So I think this team is full steam ahead.
The only reason I think I did that in my head is because I do think Lamar, like I said, I don't think he regresses like his talent regresses. No. I just think he's not going to have as good of a year.
I don't know. That's going to be a really good rushing offense.
Another good kid. Another just good
guy. I hope he does Lamar Jackson. I think their defense is going to be much better. They drafted Patrick Queen. I mean, it was evident in that playoff game that their defense was highly inflated.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that good. So they added some pieces to make it better. Calais Campbell, Patrick Queen. Right now, I think the Ravens are my Super Bowl pick. Just because, not even because of who they added. I think that helps, but also they have the perfect offense, I think, to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They can keep Mahomes off the field.
And just keep away.
Run the clock. So then I would imagine us both have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1.
And, dude, this is the thing. The Chiefs don't even have close to the best roster, but I literally saw them come back from double digits against 3 really good teams 3 times in a row. Like, I have a hard time believing that any team is going to beat them when it really comes down to it as of right now.
That offense is just pick your poison.
Dude, they can literally score in 2 seconds. They could score like NCAA Division 2 football fast. Like, it's insane.
I don't know what they're going to. I mean, they're going to pay Patrick Mahomes. You got to. But I don't know.
Well, apparently Patrick Mahomes is open to taking under $40 million for his first contract.
He shouldn't.
So if he shouldn't, you're right. But if he takes like $38 million,
I thought you meant he was gonna take like 30 or something. But
no. But I'm saying he could still. What I'm saying, you can make an argument he's probably worth between 40 and 50. To be honest with you, dude, if they came tomorrow and said we're giving Patrick Mahomes a 6-year, $300 million deal, would you be surprised?
No.
Because I wouldn't.
No,
not at all.
I'm still standing firm at my prediction, and it's gonna happen. I'm gonna say at some point this summer. $200 million over 5, 185, maybe fully guaranteed.
And I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think he'll get fully guaranteed. I do too.
I don't know about $200 million. It'll be 175 at a minimum.
Yeah, he's going to get his money. And then this is the thing: Patrick Mahomes is going to get 3 of those contracts. That's why he's open to taking. Listen, I'll take 37 right now and not not kill you guys. And let's try to win a couple more Super Bowls. Dude, he legitimately might win a 4 rings. If we're being honest, he's that good.
We thought the same thing about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers had Mike McCarthy and this dude has Andy Reid. Andy Reid is just.
The one thing that does worry me, I will say this: the one thing that does worry me about the Chiefs is its defense, and it was a whole lot better last year than what I thought.
That's what I was saying. Their roster isn't that good. It's really not. They have some good players. Their offensive line's good. They have obviously really good wide receivers, Patrick Mahomes, but. Their defensive team, they're not that good. They have.
I will say this: the one thing that is highly overlooked is that the Chiefs were not a good rushing offense last year. They were towards the bottom of the league, and they did not run the ball much at all in the playoffs.
They'll be bad.
Now they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I said, when that pick happened, I was like, I am not shocked at all that they picked him.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because now he's a perfect fit for that offense.
Yep.
But defensively, they still got Tyrann Mathieu. They still got. Frank Clark, Chris Jones, those are 3 players at all 3 levels who are different.
Exactly.
So they're going to be good enough defensively. Are they going to be as good as they were last year? I don't know, because I do think losing Kendall Fuller is going to hurt.
Exactly. That's my exact thoughts as well.
But other thing about Mahomes, I still say $200 million over 5, $40 million.
Yep, I think that's fair too. So
I know. My friend William said like, do you honestly think Mahomes is worth $35 million? And I said, no, ...
He's worth $40 million.
And I said, he's worth more.
Yeah, what do you mean? So, does he think he's not?
I don't remember what we were talking about. It was
Dak
something
Prescott's
about market.
I
think that's what we were talking about. Dak Prescott, and I don't know. And I said, well, at least he's asking for market value or something.
Yeah.
And he had a problem with that. And he was like, do you really think Patrick Mahomes is worth 35? I was like, no, he's worth more than that.
Yeah.
That's market value, and Patrick Mahomes is well above market.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. He's gonna get number 1 QB money, not top 8 or 9 QB money. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I don't have anything else. We've been at it for a while here.
That was good. That was a good recap.
We got more out of that than I thought.
Yeah.
So now, quarantine. We're getting close. We're getting close to stuff being over. Stuff is opening back up again. We got proposals of leagues reopening. Teams are going back to facilities. It's happening. It's happening. Knock on wood, it's happening.
That's all I care about.
What's
Knock on wood. I said, I just hope they have football back. That's all I care about.
Hey, NFL schedule was released today. It's happening.
They can cancel the rest of this shit.
They could push it back. I think it's happening.
Hey, me too. I'm gonna speak it into
existence. Colleges are saying we're gonna have classes in the fall. As long as all SEC teams say they're having class, everyone's gonna be at football. You best believe everyone else is gonna be playing football.
No, you're right.
All right, man.
Good to talk to you, brother.
Absolutely.
Later, man.
Later.